I spent over $50,000 in a year to help my parents, but in the end, I realized that money couldn't buy their love. Every week, I gritted my teeth and sent $1,000, convincing myself that I was doing the right thing, that family is supposed to help each other. But no matter how hard I tried, it was never enough. They always had another name to praise, another person to favor. That person was Emily. Emily, my younger sister, never had to worry about money for even a single day in her life. She didn't have to do anything except marry a wealthy man, and just like that, she suddenly became the family's pride and joy. My parents praised her as if she had single-handedly built a happy family, as if she were some financial genius. When in reality, Emily had never earned a single penny on her own, and me, I worked myself to exhaustion, drained every last cent I had, only to be treated like a walking AITA. When my dad lost his job, my mom called me in the middle of the night, her voice frantic, as if the world was about to end. "Olivia, honey, your dad got laid off. We don't know what to do anymore. The house, the bills, the electricity, the water, everything is piling up. If no one helps, we might have to sell the house." I sat there, gripping my phone, my heart pounding. I didn't have much money. I had rent to pay, insurance, my car, and student loans still hanging over my head. But how could I say no when my mother was crying on the other end of the line? "Mom, I'll send you the money, I won't let you lose the house." The very next day the first $1,000 vanished from my account. At first I thought I was doing the right thing. Helping family is the right thing to do, isn't it? But then, it became a bottomless pit. Every week I would get messages from my mom. "Olivia, things are a little tight this week, can you send a bit more?" "Olivia, the electricity bill is really high this month, can you help?" "Olivia, sweetheart, we promise we'll pay you back, we just need a little help." And just like that, every penny I earned poured into that bottomless pit. While I cut back on my spending, skipped my morning coffees, and didn't dare buy myself a new pair of shoes, Emily continued living lavishly in her husband's mansion. Every time I visited home, I had to listen to my mom endlessly praise her. "Do you see how smart Emily is? She married the right man, no worries in life. Olivia, why don't you learn from your sister, stop overworking yourself and find a good man to marry?" I clenched my fists, swallowing the lump of anger rising in my throat. I didn't need anyone to provide for me. I stood on my own 2 feet. I had done everything I could to help my parents, and yet, they still didn't see me as something to be proud of? Things got worse when I started noticing strange signs. One day I got a message from my mom, complaining that they didn't have enough money to buy medicine. Without thinking twice, I sent them another $200. But just 2 days later, I was scrolling through Instagram and saw Emily's latest post. A picture with my parents. On a yacht. A luxury yacht. My heart pounded. I opened the photo, staring at their beaming faces. They were laughing, raising champagne glasses on the deck, while I, the one who had been sending them every hard-earned dollar, was stressing over my own bills. My mom had just told me they couldn't afford medicine, yet less than 48 hours later they were on a fancy yacht? A cold rage swelled inside me. Maybe I had been a fool all along. I stared at my phone screen. My parents, the same people who had been crying on the phone last week, telling me they couldn't afford basic necessities, were now standing on a yacht, holding champagne, smiling under the sun. And worst of all, Emily was there too. She was posing in a designer dress, her arm wrapped affectionately around my mother's shoulder, as if we were one big happy equal family. But in reality, I had drained myself financially to support them, while she hadn't spent a single cent and was still enjoying a life of luxury. I lowered my phone, trying to steady my breathing. I needed to get to the bottom of this. I couldn't turn a blind eye any longer. That evening, I called my mom. "Mom, I'm planning a small dinner at my place this week, just family. Are you and Dad free?" My mother's voice was hesitant. "Oh, Olivia, I don't know. Your father and I aren't feeling well. We've been exhausted all week, aching all over." I froze. Not feeling well? They had just been on a yacht trip with Emily, and now they were claiming they had been exhausted all week? Anger flared inside me, but I kept my voice calm. Then I'll stop by, bring some food and medicine for you. My mother quickly responded, her tone slightly tense. No, don't come. I don't want you to catch anything. If you want to help, just send me a little money for medicine. I bit my lip. Money again. It was always about money. How much? I asked, pretending not to suspect anything. Just around $300. Once we're feeling better, we'll come visit you. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. All right, I'll send it right away. I ended the call, but instead of transferring the money, I grabbed my car keys. I needed the truth from them. I didn't go straight to my parents' house. I needed confirmation first. I drove to Mr. Harrison's house, the neighbor who lived right next door to my parents. He was a retired teacher who spent his afternoons tending to his garden. I parked in front of his house and walked up to the gate. Hi, Mr. Harrison. How have my parents been lately? I asked casually, trying to keep my emotions in check. Mr. Harrison looked up, resting both hands on his cane as he squinted at me. Oh, they just got back yesterday. Seemed like they had a great time. My stomach clenched. Just got back. I tried to sound nonchalant. I thought they had been home all week. Mr. Harrison chuckled. Oh no. They were on a trip with Emily and her husband. I think they went to Florida? A few days ago, they even asked me to feed their fish while they were gone. It felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. They had lied. Not only had they tricked me into sending them money, but they had also ignored my calls the entire trip. I forced a stiff smile. Thanks, Mr. Harrison, I have to go now. I turned on my heels and walked away, my heart pounding in my chest. Enough. I wasn't going to let this slide. The next morning, I drove straight to my parents' house. Their car was parked in the driveway. From the outside, everything looked the same. Just an ordinary quiet house with no signs of luxury. But I knew the truth. I knocked on the door. My mother opened it, her eyes lighting up when she saw me. Olivia, I wasn't expecting you. Why didn't you call first so I could prepare? I stared at her, nausea rising in my throat at the falseness in her voice. I just wanted to check on you and Dad. I stepped inside. The house was spotless. Too spotless, like they had just come back from a vacation. Which, of course, they had. I glanced around. On the dining table, a few suitcases were still unpacked. A wide-brimmed hat rested carelessly on a chair, the exact same one Emily had worn in her Instagram photo. I turned back to my mother. So, how was the trip, Mom? The smile on her face stiffened. What trip? I let out a cold laugh. The trip to Florida. On the yacht, with Emily. You know, the trip where you lied to me about being sick so I'd send you more money? My mother's face flushed with embarrassment. I crossed my arms, waiting. At that moment, my father stepped out of the kitchen, staring at me. Olivia, what kind of tone is that? Watch your attitude. I let out a cold chuckle. Watch my attitude? I've sent you over $50,000 in a year. I've lost sleep worrying about you struggling. Meanwhile, you were on vacation, sipping champagne, lying to me just to get more money? My mother quickly interjected. You're blowing this out of proportion. Can't your parents take a break? I clenched my fists. A break? You told me to send money because you couldn't afford medicine. You didn't even tell me you were going away. Why don't I have the right to know? My father folded his arms, his voice cold. We don't have to report everything we do to you. I nodded, feeling my heart grow colder with every passing second. Then I don't have to send you another dime. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and right in front of them, I canceled all my recurring transfers. My mother panicked. Olivia, don't do this. We need that money. I shoved my phone into my pocket, my eyes sharp as knives. Then ask Emily, I've had enough. And with that, I turned on my heel and walked out, leaving their desperate pleas and frantic voices behind. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had no control. I slammed my car door shut, taking a deep breath to steady myself. But nothing could cool the rage boiling inside me. My parents had deceived me. Not only had they lied about needing money, but they had shamelessly enjoyed a luxurious life using the very money I had worked myself to the bone to earn. And now, when caught, they were playing the victims. No, I wasn't going to let them get away with this. I pushed open the door and walked into the house without knocking. I knew this house too well. The familiar scent of my mother's cooking, the old couch where I used to spend hours watching movies as a kid. But now, that feeling was gone. I no longer felt like this was my home. My mother looked up from the kitchen table, her eyes flashing with worry when she saw me walk back in. "Olivia, why are you back?" I strode straight into the living room, my voice ice cold. "You lied to me." She quickly looked away, but I didn't let her escape. "You said you weren't feeling well, but in reality you were sipping cocktails on a yacht. You asked for money for medicine, but it was really for a vacation with Emily. You say I'm family, but you've never treated me like one." My mother stood up, crossing her arms. "You're overreacting, Olivia. It was just a short trip. I don't understand why you're so angry." I let out a bitter laugh. "You don't understand? Fine, let me spell it out for you." I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and scrolled through my list of transactions. "For the past year, I've sent you over $50,000. You told me you were struggling, that I was your only hope. Meanwhile, Emily, the daughter you worship, hasn't given you a single penny. And now? You're telling me I'm overreacting?" My father stepped out of the bedroom, his voice deep and cold. "Olivia, don't talk to your mother like that." I turned to him, my voice sharp as a blade. "And how exactly should I talk to her? Should I stay silent and keep sending money without question? Should I pretend nothing happened?" My father folded his arms, his face unreadable. "We don't have to explain every dollar we spend to you." A bitter smirk crept onto my lips. "Then I don't have to keep funding you either." The room fell so silent I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. My mother's face went pale. "Olivia, you can't do this." I held up my phone, scrolled to my automatic transfers, and canceled every single one. Right in front of them. "I can't?" "Watch me." One tap. Every dollar they had been expecting from me, gone. My father gritted his teeth, his eyes dark with frustration. "You're being selfish. You're just mad that we didn't invite you on the trip, aren't you? This is just jealousy over Emily." I froze. A fire erupted in my chest. I took a step closer, looking him dead in the eye. "Jealousy?" I let out a hollow, icy laugh. "Do you have any idea how hard I worked for that money? While you were vacationing, I was working overtime. While you were praising Emily, I was giving up so much to help you. And after everything, you tell me I'm just jealous?" My mother cut in. "You're being too sensitive, Olivia. We just wanted to have a little fun. Why do you have to make this such a big deal?" I took a deep breath. "Because you turned me into an AITA." No one said a word. I clenched my fists, trying to steady my voice. "You need someone to take care of you? Fine. Emily is perfect. Isn't she? Let her do it." My mother flinched. "Emily can't." "Oh, why not? She lives in a mansion, has a rich husband, travels without a care in the world. She's your golden child. Isn't she? So why can't she help you?" My father's face darkened with anger. "Do you really want to cut ties with your family?" I stared at him. "No, you did that a long time ago. I'm just realizing it now." My mother's eyes welled up with tears. "You're going to regret this, Olivia. Family is supposed to help each other." I narrowed my eyes. "No, Mom, family is supposed to respect and love each other, not use them." I turned around and walked out, leaving behind my mother's desperate calls and my father's cold stare. For the first time, I felt relieved to finally say what had been weighing on my chest. I had barely stepped into my house when my phone started buzzing nonstop. "Mom? Dad? Emily?" They kept calling as if I had committed some unforgivable crime. I didn't need to guess what they wanted to say. Pleading, guilt-tripping, maybe even threats. but I didn't care anymore. I had endured enough. I flipped my phone face down on the table, closed my eyes and took a deep breath. But before I could regain my composure, loud knocking pounded at my door. My parents? No way. I stood up, walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. Emily? And behind her, my parents stood with their arms crossed, their faces tight with anger. I opened the door but didn't let them in. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice void of warmth. Emily smirked, folding her arms as if she was talking to someone beneath her. "I could ask you the same thing, Olivia. What the hell do you think you're doing?" I let out a small chuckle. "Doing what I should have done a long time ago." Emily's eyes narrowed. "You mean cutting off mom and dad? You're so petty, Olivia. All this over not being invited on a trip?" I clenched my fists but kept my voice calm. "No, because they used me for a year, lied to me over and over again, and now that I'm no longer their financial puppet, they sent you to convince me to change my mind?" My father scoffed. "Olivia, you're being disgraceful." I turned to him, my expression blank. "You think standing up for myself is disgraceful? Then so be it." Emily let out a mocking laugh. "Oh, come on, Olivia. You're not that tough. You're just throwing a tantrum. We're family. You can't do this to mom and dad." She stepped forward, about to push her way in, but I raised a hand to stop her. "Don't step inside." Emily's eyes widened in disbelief, as if she couldn't fathom that I would dare to block her. "You can't be serious. You won't last without helping them." A voice spoke up behind me. "Wrong. She's learning how to live without being used by her family." "Natalie." She stepped out of the living room, arms crossed, her eyes filled with defiance. Emily sneered. "Oh, great, now your girlfriend thinks she can interfere in family matters." I saw Natalie's expression darken. "Family? Don't make me laugh. Your parents see Olivia as nothing but a human ATM. They don't actually care about her." Emily clicked her tongue, shaking her head. "You don't understand anything. Family supports each other in hard times. You don't know anything about us." Natalie stepped forward, her voice dropping into a dangerously low tone. "Do you understand the difference between helping and being used? Or are you just another leech, living off other people's money like your parents?" Emily flinched, her face turning red. "Don't you dare insult me." I saw Natalie's hand twitch, and in the blink of an eye she grabbed a fistful of Emily's hair. Emily shrieked, struggling, but Natalie didn't let go right away. "Listen to me, Emily. You and your parents will never take advantage of Olivia again. If you show up here one more time, don't expect me to be polite." Emily gasped when Natalie finally released her. She staggered back, her eyes blazing with fury and humiliation. "Are you insane?" Emily shouted, rubbing her head. My mother lunged forward, her voice shrill with outrage. "Olivia, you're letting your girlfriend attack your own sister? Have you lost your mind?" I crossed my arms, staring at them. No, Emily deserved it. My father took a step forward, his voice seething with anger. "You need to control your girlfriend. She just assaulted our daughter." I laughed. "Oh? And what about Emily barging into my home, insulting me and demanding my money? That's fine with you?" Silence. I took a slow breath, my voice icy. "And listen carefully. This is the last time we will ever speak. Don't call me. Don't come to my house. From now on, I owe this family nothing." Emily's eyes burned with fury, her lips trembling. "You'll regret this, Olivia. You'll come crawling back, begging mom and dad for help." I met her gaze without a flicker of doubt. "Never." Emily gritted her teeth, spun on her heel, and stormed off. My parents followed quietly, their faces rigid with anger. When the door slammed shut, I felt lighter than I had in years. But I knew this wasn't over. My parents wouldn't let this go. Emily wouldn't accept defeat so easily. And I wasn't wrong. Just a few days later they returned, this time, with backup. I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, when furious knocking echoed through my apartment. I didn't even need to check the peephole to know who it was. I opened the door. Emily and Dan. Her husband loomed behind her, broad-shouldered and intimidating. Like he was here to teach me a lesson. Emily crossed her arms, her lips curling into a sneer. So you really think you can just walk away from this family that easily? I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. I don't think, I know. Emily's eyes flared with anger. You don't get to cut off mom and dad. You think you can just abandon your responsibilities? Family is forever, Olivia. I smirked. A family that exploits each other isn't a family at all. Dan stepped forward, his voice low and threatening. You should rethink this, Olivia. I stared straight at him, unflinching. Oh yeah? And what if I don't? His lips curled into a smug grin. Then I'll make you regret it. Natalie stepped out from behind me, standing right by my side, her eyes razor-sharp. Oh? And how exactly are you planning to do that? Hit a woman? Pathetic. Dan scoffed, but I saw his fists clench. He took another step forward. But I didn't give him the chance. I struck first. My fist connected with his jaw, sending him staggering back. Emily shrieked. Olivia, are you crazy? Dan stumbled, his eyes wide with shock. But I wasn't done. My second punch slammed into his gut, knocking the wind out of him. He doubled over, coughing, clutching his stomach, his face contorted in pain. Emily rushed forward, grabbing him, her eyes burning with hatred. You just made a huge mistake. I exhaled sharply, my fists still clenched. No. You made a mistake thinking I was still your family's puppet. Emily bared her teeth, looking like a cornered animal. All right, Olivia. If you want war, we'll have war. I let out a cold, amused laugh. No, Emily, you've already lost, you just don't realize it yet. She hauled Dan up, the two of them stumbling away from my porch. I watched them disappear into the night. I wasn't afraid. They were losing control and they knew it. 1 week later, I thought it was over. But then, I got a call from Mr. Martin, my parents' neighbor. Olivia, got a minute? There's something you might want to hear. I gripped my phone, sensing something was off. Yes, of course, what is it? Mr. Martin chuckled lightly. Well, last night, your parents had a nasty argument. The whole neighborhood could hear it. I frowned. What were they fighting about? You and Emily. I sat up straight. Emily? What happened? Mr. Martin lowered his voice, as if someone might overhear. They demanded she start supporting them financially since you cut them off, but she refused. I was silent. You know what, Olivia? She yelled at them, saying she wasn't a bank and that your parents should take responsibility for their own lives instead of leeching off their children. I laughed. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Mr. Martin chuckled. Sure does. I guess she enjoyed the luxury, but she didn't want the burden you carried. She stormed out that night after tearing them apart. I let out a long breath. It was over. My parents lost both their children in the span of a week. No more Olivia to provide for them, no more Emily to cling to. Just the two of them, sitting in an empty house, realizing they had destroyed everything with their own hands. I set my phone down on the table and leaned back in my chair. Natalie walked out of the kitchen, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Any news? I took one, sipped it, then smiled faintly. My parents just lost their last child. Natalie raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I placed the cup down, looking at her with more relief than I had ever felt before. Emily left them, they have no one left to leech off. Natalie chuckled. Well, so even their golden princess couldn't take it anymore. I nodded. She was only ever interested in luxury, never actually helping them. Now, she's turned her back on them too. Natalie leaned back, narrowing her eyes at me. So, do you feel sorry for them? I thought for a moment. Then I shook my head. Not one bit. They deserved this. 1 week later. I thought that after Emily left, my parents would figure things out. But I was wrong. My phone rang nonstop all morning. At first I ignored it, but when I saw my father's name on the screen, I decided to pick up. Olivia. His voice was slower than usual. I crossed my arms, leaning against the kitchen counter, my tone calm. What is it? Why are you calling me? A long silence. I could hear him sigh heavily. I'm not calling to ask for money. It's about Emily. I narrowed my eyes. What about her? He hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. Her husband divorced her, Dan kicked her out. She has nowhere to go, so she came back here. I raised an eyebrow. Really? My father sighed. She's completely broken, Olivia. She's lost everything. I let out a small, emotionless laugh. Lost everything? You mean she lost the rich man she clung to all these years, or the luxurious life she never built for herself? Olivia. His voice dropped, almost pleading. I cut him off. And what exactly do you want me to do? Comfort her? Tell her I forgive her? She needs someone to talk to. You're her sister. I gripped my phone, tightly. Have you forgotten, Dad? I stopped being her sister a long time ago. 1 week earlier. Emily lasted exactly 3 days before she exploded. After I refused to fund them, my parents turned to her, demanding financial help. You've got to be kidding me, Emily snapped. My parents froze. My mother wrung her hands, trying to keep her voice soft. Honey, you know we need someone to help. Emily laughed, but there was no humor in it. Help? You want me to help? Why should I? Why should I take on the burden that Olivia was stupid enough to carry? My father frowned. Because we're family, Emily. For the first time in her life, Emily didn't care about the word family. No, you used Olivia for years, and now that she's cut you off, you turn to me? I'm not as stupid as Olivia. My mother's eyes widened, her voice shaking. Emily, you can't say that. Emily stood up, her face red with rage. Oh, I can't? You've gotten too used to having someone take care of you without putting in any effort. I'm not an ATM, and I don't owe you anything. My father slammed his hand on the table. You can't just abandon us like this. Emily let out a bitter laugh. Abandon you? I'm just doing what you did to Olivia all these years. She grabbed her purse, her voice seething with fury. Figure it out yourselves. The door slammed shut. Emily left that night, leaving my parents in an empty house. I put my phone on speaker so Natalie could hear. She crossed her arms, watching me with curiosity as my father continued. Olivia, you don't understand. Emily is truly devastated. Dan threw her out the second she stopped being valuable to him. She has no money, no home, nothing. She can't even go back to her friends because they only cared about Dan's money. I leaned back, taking a sip of coffee. What a shame. My father hesitated, clearly unsettled by my indifferent tone. Olivia, can you just go see her once just to talk? I smirked, shaking my head even though he couldn't see me. No. He sounded like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Olivia. I cut him off. Do you remember what Emily used to say when I was supporting you all those years? Silence. I continued. She called me stupid for giving you money. She told me I'd regret cutting you off. She stood at my doorstep insulting me, saying I had no right to refuse this family. And now? Now she's back, empty-handed, unwelcome, and she expects me to be generous? I laughed, a cold, hollow laugh. No, Dad, I'm not doing that. I heard him let out a heavy sigh on the other end of the line. So you really don't need this family anymore. I closed my eyes, feeling the relief spread through me. I did that a long time ago, Dad, you just never wanted to accept it. I hung up. Natalie raised an eyebrow at me. You okay? I set my phone down on the table, taking a deep breath. More than ever. My parents had no one left to rely on. Emily had realized she was just another disposable pawn once she lost her value. And me, I was finally free from all of them. 3 years later. I never thought I'd return to that house. 3 years ago, I walked away from my parents, leaving them to deal with the consequences of their choices. Emily had left too, once she realized she couldn't use my parents to secure an easy life. They lost both their children in a single week. At the time, I felt no regret. I had spent my entire life chasing their approval, only to be met with disregard and exploitation. But over the years, I came to understand something. They weren't entirely evil, they were just lost. And now, after all these years, I stood before that old door, wondering if it was ever truly a place I could call home. I knocked. The door opened and my mother appeared. She stared at me, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Olivia?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Hi, Mom." Before I could react, she lunged forward, wrapping her arms around me as if afraid I'd disappear. I heard her sobbing against my shoulder. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I stood still for a moment, then gently hugged her back. "I know." My father stepped out from the living room. His hair had turned grayer than I remembered. When he saw me, he froze, then took a deep breath and walked forward. "Olivia." I looked at him, and for the first time in years, I didn't see anger or stubborn pride in his eyes. Only regret. "I'm sorry." 3 words. The ones I had waited for all these years. I smiled softly. "I know, Dad." We sat down in the living room, where I once had happy memories before everything fell apart. There was no blame, no resentment, just a family trying to mend the past. After a while, I hesitated before asking, "Where's Emily?" My mother gave a small, sad smile. "She's changed a lot. After losing everything, she realized she couldn't rely on others forever. She picked herself up, found a job, and learned how to stand on her own." I was surprised. "Really?" My mother nodded. "She's always wanted to talk to you but was too afraid. She thought you'd never forgive her." I sighed, then pulled out my phone. "I'll call her." My mother smiled, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Olivia." The phone rang a few times before Emily's voice came through. "Hello?" I took a deep breath. "Emily, it's me." A long silence, then I heard a shaky breath on the other end. You're really calling me?" I smiled. "Yes. We need to talk. 3 years of distance, of wounds, of misunderstandings. But in the end, we found our way back to each other. Family isn't perfect. But if everyone is willing to change, they can still find their way home." Olivia's story is a powerful reminder about setting boundaries and self-worth. Sometimes, the people we love most are the ones who exploit us the most, hiding their manipulation under the label of family. But no one is obligated to sacrifice themselves unconditionally, especially when that sacrifice is taken for granted. Olivia spent years learning that kindness should never be taken advantage of, and cutting off toxic relationships isn't selfish, it's the only way to protect oneself. Yet, the greatest happiness came when Olivia chose to forgive and return, giving her family a second chance. What do you think of Olivia's story? If you were in her situation, would you continue to help cut ties to protect yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to follow the channel for more real-life emotional stories about family and life.